Welcome back into the Dead Arm Sports Podcast. Josh and Jell here with a U.S.
Your
Open
boys.
recap. Back after a little break. We were both at a golf outing last week. So, Jell. So I'm going to kick it over to you to start this off. You won the coveted sleeveless green jacket this last weekend. Goes out to somebody that has the most fun, or I guess it's somebody that has a fun story up at the golf outing. So why don't you go ahead? My dad kind of kicked you off before you could give a victory speech. So I thought I'd turn this over to you to say what you want and thank the people or whatever you would like to say.
Yeah, well, so your dad starts talking about, he says, well, this is the guy that bought probably almost all 60 plus of us guys a cherry bomb during this outing. He seems like he's having a great time. And, he did put in some really sweet words of, he's come up just about every year up from Dallas. I think of him as, a child of my own. So those were some pretty touching words, but I spent a pretty good amount of money. I looked at my credit card bill today, not working in my favor. So yeah, but overall good. Obviously amazing time as it always is, but worth it. Got the sleeveless green jacket here for what was described to me as the person that seems like they had the most fun out there. And I can attest to that. I had an absolute blast. Got around to just about everybody that I possibly could out there and said, what's up? And, had a conversation, shook a few hands and bought a few cherry bombs. But my thank you speech would have been, just appreciate being out there and make sure, hit up at Dead Arm Sports.
I know I was disappointed you didn't get to plug the podcast.
I went out there and I think Mick knew this guy, he's already had a few drinks in him. Let me rip that microphone away from him so he doesn't. No. But it was amazing. Quite an honor, I have to say. So thank you to the commissioner out there, Mr. Pecoraro, and look forward to owning that jacket for the next 30 or 360-ish days, however the math checks out. Gonna make sure that thing is put to good use.
Yes, absolutely. You have to wear it to any weddings you attend, so it's one of the rules. So
I will. I'll get some photo ops out there.
Love it. Yeah, no, it was a great time. It's a lot of alcohol, a lot of golf. So as usual, usually still feel a little groggy today, but
did you count out how many holes you ended up playing?
Man,
I played 143, right around there.
Okay, I was probably
over just Monday through Thursday.
Okay. I was probably right around that mark because I know you stayed out a little bit later on the course one of the days than I did, but then you also on Thursday had to go back to the room and take a little power nap. So
I went out and still played, got a couple holes in after that power nap though.
Yeah.
Met up with the Minnesota kids.
Attaboy.
Good times. Can't wait till next year.
Yes. Always look forward to that on the calendar. And once June rolls around. We can be found at Dead Arm Sports, Twitter, Instagram. Check us out on Facebook at Dead Arm Sports, YouTube Live. Usually, for sure, do that usually on Mondays. Last week again, we were on vacation, but got that rolling again this week. You can catch all of our videos. Those will be on YouTube as well, even if they're not live and you can't check us out live. They'll be up on the next day. If you want to check us out live, you can jump on. We've got the chat rolling, so that way you can ask us any questions you want. If it's topic related, something we're discussing on that pod, or anything else that you would like us to discuss or answer your question on, by all means, hit up the chat. More than happy to answer those. If you want to follow Jell on his socials, he can be found at DasJel. That's at DASJEL. I can be found at DasJPEC. That's at DASJPEC. can send us any DMs or questions on there. We'll answer those on our next podcast. Or if you need something quick, just let us know and we'll hit you right back there as well. Subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite listening platform. Send us a screenshot of that review. Get you some swag sent out in the mail.
Swagalicious.
You sipping on anything today or taking her easy like me? I'm back on the water train. Got to rehydrate after a lot of alcohol last week.
I was on that water train pretty much, obviously all of yesterday and for the majority of today, but I owe a drink later, so
yeah, you do.
Decided I would crack open a brewski, good old Miller Lite.
Nice, hardly know her. All right,
Swish.
Well, had one of the 4 major golf tournaments this last weekend, the U.S. Open at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts, and what an epic showdown that was. Kind of back and forth on Sunday. 3 different guys, I believe, have the lead at one point in time. And the Englishman, Matthew Fitzpatrick, comes away with his first major victory, won by 1 stroke. Looked like it was going to be interesting down the stretch. Made a, 70-foot birdie putt on, 15? That just
was it that long? I mean, it was
it was long.
I mean, 50, it was a long
50
putt.
Plus. So,
it had to have been, 50 plus. Yeah.
Yeah. But that just gave him all the momentum there. And then 18 pulls his tee shot a little bit into that trap on the left-hand side and wondering, is he going to be able to even salvage par? And somehow just hits a beautiful shot 20 feet past the pin, has a nice lag putt to get down there that had a chance to drop and taps in for par. And then Willy Zalatoris just running her right by and so close to forcing that playoff. But
just missed that. Yeah, that putt or that driver, that tee shot on 18 from Fitzy, him and his caddy were debating. They were going back and forth, driver or 3-wood. Caddy wanted 3-wood. Fitzy wanted driver. They ended up going 3-wood. He sends it onto the beach. So it's like, maybe not the right call, but yeah, obviously that amazing recovery shot to be able to put that on the green, on the right spot on the green too, because and also kind of lucky with the distance there, because if he was 3-4 feet shorter than where his ball ended up, there was a big hook around on that bunker that he would have had to basically sky to get over. And that would have made it really tough for him to get on the green. So a little bit fortunate, and just kind of hearing a little bit of that drama post match of between, his caddy. I can't remember his name. He's been on tour for 40 years.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name, but yeah, he post game, I guess, interview talked about that. And I guess he should have gone driver instead of that 3-wood, because I'm sure Fitzpatrick said, damn it, now I'm going 3-wood. I got to crank it. And that's probably how he ended up onto the beach out there in Boston area. But yeah, obviously, for a kid he's in his mid-20s, but still wearing braces, getting his first PGA Tour win. Gotta give him the golf clap there.
Yeah. No, it was fantastic. Like I mentioned, Scotty Scheffler was in the running there for a little bit too. So he's keeping up his status quo of being towards the top of the leaderboards, putting pressure on all these guys. And it was cool seeing Fitzpatrick win. He's come close a couple of times in different tournaments, but hasn't really broken through yet, but finally did in this one.
Seems like he's super likable. There were 15 guys of his friends that were following him hole to hole and going nuts on, every good shot that he'd have.
His brother was going nuts too.
And then he had his whole family there at the end. His brother was crying and stuff when he finished it off. So he's got, seems like a super likable dude. There's been no reason to dislike the guy. So yeah. It feels like it's kind of a matter of time coming. He's never won this is his first event on tour that he's won. So I guess this is technically a USGA event. He doesn't have any PGA sponsored event wins. If I heard this right. So for this to be his first, big time W, pretty badass. This is the right place to do it. So good for him. But yeah, let's jump back to what you mentioned. Will Zalatoris earlier. He's finished second for the third time in his career of majors. He's played in 9 majors, finished second 3 times. His other finishes were all the tournaments that he finished, he was top 10. So the other 3 finishes, he was top 10. And then and then there were 3 that he either withdrew or missed the cut. So every time that he's finished a major, he's been in the top 10 with 3 T2 or second place finishes. I guess, like you'd mentioned on 18, he had about, what was it? Maybe a 15-footer that would have been that birdie putt.
15, give or take a couple feet.
And he said at about 6 feet out from the putt or from the cup, he thought he had it, and it just barely missed left. So I guess, it seems like he's still hitting the ball straight with distance. His iron game seems right. His putting has gotten a lot better since last year. I mean, he was missing 4-footers, 6-footers all day last year. So he's improved on that. I guess, when does this first win come? Because he's been on the brink so much that it's like we're sitting here almost begging for him to finally get a W. When's it gonna come? What needs to change? Or does anything need to change?
I don't really know that much has to change. I think it's a matter of if or when, not if. It's going to happen. He's been playing some of the best golf of anybody out there, very consistent. Maybe he just needs to get a little more lucky, knock down a few longer putts here and there to get his score a little bit lower. But no, he's got all of the tools. He's got the experience now of playing in that final group in a major and being in contention all the way through. So no, I think it's a matter of when, and maybe that's at the Open Championship here in July. Maybe it's getting a couple wins down the stretch of the playoffs or the Tour Championship. Otherwise, he's got to be one of the heavy favorites to win one next year. So I would almost guarantee that Will Zalatoris will have a major championship by the end of 2023.
Yeah,
I think it's going to happen.
I mean, going into this tournament, depending on who you had, whatever bookie or whatever casino you're looking at, he was between 25-1 and 30-1 for odds to win this tournament. I feel like after this finish, that may be cut in half for the Open Championship, the British. I guess, where do you see him finishing? Well, obviously, that's 4 weeks out, so we'll touch on this a little bit more as we get closer, but do you look at him as somebody that has to be a favorite going into that tournament?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, he's a pretty long hitter, so that'll help out well. It's St. Andrews this year, so got to get pretty good play out of your traps.
It's tough.
The only thing
that's it.
The only thing that concerns me a little bit is those greens are ginormous at St. Andrews. So he's going to definitely have to get his putting dialed in for that. So that might be a little bit of a struggle for him, but otherwise, no, I think he's definitely somebody that you could throw a little cash down on for the Open and maybe get a little kickback from that. So I think I definitely see him making the cut and being in contention on Sunday.
Certainly kind of the opposite of the greens here at the US Open, where these greens tend to be teeny tiny. It's about double the size. Exactly. Feels like they're, I mean, like you said, just massive at the British. So hopefully he can get it dialed in. We've all been waiting on the guy. I've been rooting for the guy because it's, he's been right there so often, and he doesn't have any tournament wins, major or not.
Yeah. So he's going to win. Like I said, it's tough to win a major championship. There's only one left, but he'll win one of the tournaments down the stretch here. He's just been playing too good at golf to not come away with a victory at some point in 2022.
You mentioned Scotty Scheffler to finish tied with Zalatoris at number 2. I mean, right now, he was basically felt like the runaway winner to win PGA Tour Player of the Year. Is it pretty much locked in now that it's going to be Scotty, regardless of how he finishes going forward? I mean, he won the Masters. He's got other tournament wins. He's now finishing T2 here. Yep. So he's got 2 other wins on top of that. T2 here. Is this a runaway, Scotty Scheffler Tour Player of the Year? You think at least at this point?
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I mean, there's other guys. I mean, Sam Burns has had a nice year too, but Scotty, it's got to be Scotty. 3 wins, won the Masters, which is arguably the tournament everybody's gone in for every year. So and other than somebody just making an unbelievable run down the stretch, maybe running through and winning all 3 playoff events or something along those lines, it's Scotty's to lose, and he's the hands down favorite right now to be Player of the Year. And I mean, hands down favorite to win the Tour Championship at this point in time too.
I got one other guy I need to touch on, Colin Morikawa. He had a real up and down weekend. Going into the weekend, going into Saturday, tied for the lead and then on Saturday puts up a 7 over 77. Kind of looked like not great, Bob. Puts on an awesome show Sunday, ends up going 4 under. So obviously made up a few of those shots that he lost on Saturday, but going into Saturday, obviously kind of looked like he was there. He was right there to win it. Looked like he was going to be the guy to, when you looked at the names from top to bottom with Morikawa at the top, looked like it was kind of his to lose. He's won a major the last 2 years, 2020 with the PGA Championship, 2021 with the British. He's got 1 tournament left. Do you think he could defend his title at the British? Because right now it's trending that way, where he's got just based on he's won 1 major over the last 2 years, each of the last 2 years.
I wouldn't put any money on him or have any confidence really in him. He just hasn't been able to string together 4 solid rounds for a tournament. He's got a round or sometimes even 2 that he just can't put it together and ends up falling out of contention. The last 2 years, he was one of the hottest players on tour.
Yeah.
He'd show up and he'd make cuts and finish T5, T10. And this year, it's been a struggle at times for him, where you don't see his name popping up the leaderboard quite often anymore. Granted, he's not playing in as many tournaments as he had earlier on in his career and everything, but I can't see it happening. I don't like it right now with just how his consistency has been. There's not a lot of it there. And to win a major, you have to have 4 solid rounds of golf. And Colin Morikawa right now just hasn't been putting that together.
I think I'm right there on the same page with you. We haven't seen anything consistent out of him all year. The last year, he was one of the more consistent players, where he was finishing or at least in contention for top 5, top 10s in just about every tournament that he played in last year. So it's a bit of a shame. It seemed like he was going to be, maybe the next real hardcore hot shot. And he still can be that. I'm not ruling that out whatsoever, but he hasn't. This year has been certainly, I mean, if I say it's been a pretty big disappointment, are you there with me? Because I feel pretty confident saying that it's been a big disappointment. So I think I'm right there with you on the British. As much as I want to see him win, because I do like seeing success out of him. He's a good, I like seeing success out of some of these young guys and seeing what the future holds for him. But it's going to be tough for him this upcoming tournament.
Yeah. Somebody that has kind of gotten a little bit hot lately too. I want to kind of see what your thoughts are on them going into the Open Championship, the British. Mr. Rory McIlroy coming off of the RBC victory last week up in Canada and was in contention on Sunday and just really couldn't get that final push going on that back nine at all. Struggled a little bit down the stretch, but Rory's been playing some pretty solid golf lately. Do you see him in possibly contention at St. Andrews, a place that he's played a handful of times and knows the course fairly well?
Yeah, I think Rory needs to be up at the top of just about any list out there for just about any tournament. Obviously, it's his side of the pond as well up there, so that helps. But seems like he's got just a new, not a golf drive, but a new drive in terms of motivation this year, where which I feel like may have been lacking over the last couple, because I don't know. I feel like there's just something different out of Rory this year. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is, but maybe the focus is right there. I think he's mentioned it too before, saying he feels a little bit more kind of he's more in tune with the game. He's taking it more seriously. He's more dedicated in terms of prep. But he's gonna, I think, I would say going into into the British Open, your favorites have to probably be your top three. Where I would sit would be, in no particular order, Rory, Rahm, and Scotty.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mentioned John Rahm. Seems like he finally put on a good show for us this weekend. I mean, he did end up finishing one over, but Sunday he went 4 over. So he started out Sunday within the winner. I don't know if it was the final grouping, but it was one of the first 3 final groups. It's the best tourney I've seen him all year. And so hopefully he can ride this momentum, because he's also been a bit of a disappointment all season long, outside of the Mexico Open, with no competition. So you think maybe this is the start of him getting on a bit of a run? Because when he gets going, Rahm can be the best player in the world.
Oh, without a doubt. So yeah, he's been playing better golf of late. So he's somebody you can never count him out anytime he enters a tournament field. So definitely somebody I would keep my eye on for the Open.
Want to jump into our little pick'em here?
Yeah, so we apologize. Last week we were hoping to get out a U.S. Open preview. Schedule-wise just did not work out at all. So we tweeted out who our picks were. So just to kind of recap our round by round, I'll go through it. So what happens is every major championship, Jill and I pick 5 golfers, and we just kind of do a snake draft. We go head to head. Once you use a golfer, you can't use them again for the rest of the major tournaments, and can't pick the same golfer as your opponent that week, and just kind of go head to head. Ryder Cup style points. If your guy wins, you get a point. If it's a tie, it's a half point each. And then if your guys fail to make the cut, no points at all. So Jell's picks this time around, Rory McIlroy, Sam Burns, Cam Smith, Cam Young, and Thigala, which I'll let you get to there in a second, Jell. I went Scotty to match up with Rory, Morikawa versus Burns, Koepka facing Cam Smith, Tony Finau against Cam Young, and then Joel Damon against Thigala.
Apples?
So Joel Damon had a heck of a tournament. Yes,
what a pick! I almost texted you over the weekend, like, how the hell did you get this? That was money.
He's been playing some pretty solid golf lately. He pops in and out of one of the other golf podcasts I listen to pretty frequently, and just an awesome dude. So I was like, you know what? Joel's been playing pretty well lately. Why not take a shot in the dark there with my last pick? So.
Is that Matt's brother? Matt Damon.
But ended up in Josh's favor this week. Got wins out of Scotty, Morikawa, Koepka, and Damon. So the only ones I lost was Tony Finau, which both him and Cam Young missed the cut. So didn't lose a point there. So it's the big old 4-0 sweep. Thanks to Gel picking Thagala, who wasn't entered into the tournament. So do appreciate the automatic point there as long as Damon made the cut. So would you like to defend your pick there, sir?
I was drunk. I mean, when we made the picks,
the truth comes out. How many cherry bombs in were you at that point?
Way too many. I'd probably bought about 25 at that point. It was an expensive week.
Yes,
I'd bought enough to like I said, to get just about enough everybody in the outing. But at that point, it was Thursday afternoon or Thursday. Was that Wednesday? That would have been Wednesday.
It was Wednesday afternoon we made, or Wednesday night.
Wednesday evening, yeah. And I just thought he was in there. He'd played some halfway decent golf the week before, and I was feeling it. I was like, all right, I heard, I went a little balls to the walls. Did not pay off. Balls did not hit the wall.
No.
Did not make it to Massachusetts. I'm sure he enjoyed watching it on TV.
He had the most fun.
Yeah, get him that the sleeveless green jacket.
Yes.
But yeah, that one is that's an automatic L.
Yeah, that's you.
L. Yep. Automatic L right here, dog.
Speaking of that L, I believe you do owe a beer chug. So whenever you are ready, sir, you may go ahead and proceed
just count me down. Count me down, big dog.
All right. 3, 2, 1, chug. So I'm going to embrace this moment. There hasn't been too many times during the football season, golf season, that I have been non-participant in the old beer chug. So nice, that boy.
Pretty good time.
Yeah.
I think was sitting out on the. Ooh, there it goes. I was sitting out on the porch where it's about 100 degrees right here in Dallas.
Ooh.
So,
well, hot toddy.
Yeah. That was not cold. Pretty good time, though. I'll take that.
Yes. Somebody that did not have a pretty good time this weekend is any of our LIV golf friends. Struggle Bus City at the U.S. Open. I don't really necessarily correlate any of it to that. Maybe outside of the travel with them having to come back over from across the pond to come play in the U.S. Open, but I don't know if that really had a ton to do with it. I mean, they get there early in the week, get some practice rounds in, but maybe some of the media and just kind of all the questions and all of the buzz around why and all of that, maybe that had a little bit in the back of their mind, but
that's exactly where I was going to go with it is, I mean, the pressure is different on all these golfers now. It's not like it's more pressure. I mean, they all still feel the pressure every time you play a major to perform at your best. But that was the only pressure that they felt. They didn't feel it's just a different external pressure now that a lot of these guys have, they've obviously been heavily scrutinized publicly and within the media, between you and I, between a lot of the people at the outing that we were just at, but also within their own, golfing fraternity. We've heard Rory multiple times coming out critical of these guys. We've heard JT say, everybody can make their own decision, but this just sucks. Those are right now. And Tiger, even before all these big names started coming out, when he was asked about Phil, he said, look, everybody can make their own decisions, but I couldn't. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he basically said, look, I couldn't sell my soul for this. I've got too much of a reputation on the line. I've got my legacy on the line. And a lot of these guys now, so these are the types of questions that they're facing all week. Let's say they get up there Monday, Tuesday, they're getting their practice round in, and they're talking to reporters every day after their practice rounds. Even if they just go up to the driving range, after they're done at the range, they're getting peppered with questions.
Yeah.
They and the fact that they know their brethren are judging them and publicly judging them. So it's a different type of pressure. I'm not surprised that they didn't do well. This is the first, given that the previous weekend was the first live event. I mean, can you say that you're surprised that these guys struggled? I think there is a correlation here because the only guys that there were only 4 guys that made the cut. DJ at T24, Richard Bland, T43, Patrick Reed, T49, Bryson, T56. Everyone else missed the cut. Phil had a 4-putt on hole 6.
I mean, that's pretty typical of the U.S. Open.
Oh, gimme for Phil, yeah. The first one was a makeable putt. It probably between 15, 20 feet. The other 3 were all within 6 feet. 6 foot, 4 foot, and then a 2 foot. Like, he shit himself hard. Very, very much Phil like at the US Open, but he ended up finishing, I believe, 14 over before the cut line.
Is that good?
Not great, Bob. So, I mean, I think that there was just a different type of pressure on these guys, given that this is just something that none of them had faced before. And maybe DJ, I don't know. DJ seems like he's just completely unfazed by all of it. But I think that the rest of these guys, kind of seems, not to be an asshole, but seems like he might be a little bit of an airhead.
I think that's putting it lightly.
We'll leave it at that. But the rest of these, so he probably didn't really give a shit. The rest of these guys, I feel like it probably was in, maybe Patrick Reed not, because everybody considers him a dick too. But the rest of these guys, it probably had to be on their mind. I mean, Gooch missed the cut. There were a lot of guys that, Gooch, top 10 on the FedEx rankings, misses the cut at the U.S. Open. That's not what you expect.
Yeah.
So, and he wasn't even close. So I don't know. I think that they're just under a ton of pressure from knowing that there's what percentage would you put it? I mean, outside of the golfers within LIV, probably everybody else there is against those guys. Those golfers that committed to the LIV are now basically the villains. So, and that's not really where a lot of these guys sit.
Yeah. There's been kind of mixed emotions with it. It seems like most of the players are not on the fence, but either one way or another. I mean, some of them have come out and said, like, I don't blame them for going over and doing that. I mean, some of the guys are getting life-changing money that they weren't making on the tour, and it's guaranteed for them. Other guys have taken a little bit stronger of a stance and don't like them going over there. But no,
I mean, Rory straight up said this is for the young. Like, Rory said, I get it for the older players because this is going to be, they can make a huge check.
Oh,
and they're, especially Sergio, Phil.
Yep.
Those guys go get, whatever, go get your cash. Let's be honest, how often they're really, he didn't say this. I'm tangenting here, but let's be honest, how much money are Phil and Sergio making now in tournament events from the tournament? Not that much. I mean, obviously sponsorships, they're probably killing it, but they're not making money from the PGA Tour like they used to. So Rory's basically saying, I get it for those guys, approaching that age where you're getting a little closer to that Champions Tour. But he did say for the young guys, like the Gooches of the world, it's Gucci. He said, look, it seems like you're kind of taking the easy way out. So hearing that from Rory, who's right now one of the, if not the biggest name, most respected name on tour, obviously not counting Tiger, but Rory's right up there. And for him to be as vocal as he has, Justin Thomas as well, saying basically like, this sucks. I feel like, you can feel that pressure within your own golfing community. And that's just a different type of pressure these guys haven't ever felt.
Yeah. It'll be interesting too, now that we've kind of gotten the first taste. LIV had their first tournament event, and we've gotten the first major championship out of the way, and there wasn't any repercussions for the guys on the LIV Tour. So we've got, I believe, last week in June into the first week of July, that like 30th, kind of 4th of July weekend. It's at, I believe, Pumpkin Ridge. I know it's Pumpkin. I can't remember if it's Ridge or Valley or wherever, but it's just outside of Portland, Oregon. So we'll see if there's any more players that jump over after that first event. Patrick Reed was rumored to be leaving. Ricky Fowler's name was thrown out there. I saw he is in the field right now for TPC. Yep. Whatever, Travelers Championship is this week. I can't remember what the TPC course is. Southwinds.
Nailed it.
But no, it'll be interesting to see if any of these other guys jump over, have a tournament in the US. You're not going to be having to travel abroad or anything like that. So curious to see what that field looks like. And then a couple weeks after that, you got the British. So, I mean, that's a lot of traveling for them for the next little bit, kind of similar to what they just did for the first tournament and then coming back over here for the US Open. So I'm curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah. I mean, rumors have it. My voice is still gone. Shit.
Rumor has it.
There we go. Rumor has it that there's still going to be post this event, post US Open, there were going to be some more guys that jump on. Abraham Answer is one guy that's going to jump. And there's a little bit of a feeling coming from myself based on some of the quotes that I'm about to read, that Brooks Koepka may be on his way over. Chase Koepka, his brother, is already over there. And somebody asked him, one of the reporters asked him, just basically kind of, what are your feelings about your brother Chase being over there? And he said, look, I love my brother. I support him in anything that he does. It's family. I will always love and support him. So whatever he does, I'm cheering for him. I'm all for that. Then he was asked whether or not playing on the PGA Tour was going to be a permanent decision. And Brooks said back, look, there's been no other option to this point. So where else are you going to go? AKA, he didn't say no.
Oh, yeah.
So who knows what's going to go with, I mean, Brooks, that's as big of a name as Bryson that's on the tour right now. And who knows? I mean, if Koepka goes, he's a big draw. That would be a huge win for LIV if you get a guy like Bryson to make that jump over.
Yeah, and Brooks is one that, I mean, he's publicly said that if it's not a major tournament, he's not really going practicing. He's just kind of showing up and playing. So, I mean, this makes perfect sense if that's kind of the style of golf that he likes to do, where he's going to have his paycheck and he just kind of shows up and plays. And if he wins, then awesome, I get more money in my pocket. If he doesn't, hey, I've already got that paycheck. So it'll be interesting. Again, like I said, with them LIV golfers being able to play in the US Open, doesn't sound like there's going to be any restrictions for the Open Championship, aka the British. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening here out. I mean, like, the only really tournaments that they've said that they're not going to be able to play in are the Ryder Cup and PGA Tour events. So we'll see. And maybe guys now on the PGA are going to stick it out. Is the
President's Cup separate from
President's Cup? I think the President's Cup, same format. So yeah, they wouldn't be able to play in that.
Same, obviously kind of
same
as the
lesser
Ryder,
of the two.
Didn't know. Yeah.
I'm almost wondering too, if you're going to end up seeing a lot of these golfers jump ship and go over to the LIV at the end of August, once the Tour Championship wraps up. Tour champion wins 10 million big ones. So, I mean, that's a lot.
That's a chunk of change.
So we're only like 2 months away from this. So I'm curious It'll be an interesting rest of the summer. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going to beat the dead horse here. I'm very interested to see what ends up happening with this. Interested to see this offseason, what ends up happening if the major tournament chairmen are coming together and making a determination on this now that they have a little bit more information, what kind of pressure the PGA Tour puts on them. PGA Championship's the only one I could really see standing on that. But again, we haven't had anybody sue anybody yet or anything like that. None of the LIV golfers have tried to come back and play a PGA Tour event. So it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too that the PGA does need to be afraid of is that it sounds like from reports that we've heard from all over the place is that the Saudi funders of this LIV Golf League, they don't really care about turning a profit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are they? Obviously, we live in, a capitalistic society where you start a business and the goal is to make money off of it. That's how it is. That's how it is in the States. Different economies, different, whatever, different countries run their money different ways. So, but as an American, this doesn't make sense. Like why they're not worried about turning a profit. So it brings me to the question that I'm going to ask you. What's the point if it's not to turn a profit? I mean, I sit here and I think, is it just to break up a giant, what's ultimately a global sport, a global league of the PGA, but it's still American based? Is it just to break up an American-based organization? Because we're seeing now, I mean, not to get super political, I don't want to dive too far into the weeds.
Not at all.
But, I mean, like all these Russian bots that we hear about on a weekly, monthly basis, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, wherever on social media, it's all pro-Trump, and these Russian bots probably influenced a lot of people and may have, whether it's even conscious or not, they may have. And because and my this is just, I'm going deep theory here. Theory is that these Russian bots knew, or, whoever set up these Russian bots, whether it is Russia or not, I'm again going off of everything that, you hear, is that why they wanted Trump was because they knew he would be divisive. Why they're pushing Trump is because they knew he would be divisive. We've seen now, after he was elected, how much more divided this country is, more than it ever has been, in terms of a number of things, whether it's political or not. So I sit here and I wonder, is this tour doing the same thing? If they don't care about turning a profit, is it just to tear up another American organization from, and basically that's what they're paying for? I know it. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but I can't figure out any other reason why they would be pursuing this as hard as they are, and why they're pouring this kind of cash into something that they probably don't really have much of an interest in. I can't put my finger on it, so I'm throwing this shit out.
Unless they're just saying that, and obviously, I mean, why wouldn't you want to make some sort of profit? Maybe you don't have any necessarily goals for the profit that you're making, but you're paying all of these guys to come over to play. And I mean, you're not just, eventually you're going to run out of money. Like it eventually.
See, that's the thing is how are they going to run out of money? They have all of the money that they would ever want, and they have all the resources that they want. And the people that are putting this money in own all of that oil that everybody wants. That's the thing, is like they basically have unlimited cash.
Yeah.
So they can pay unlimited cash. I don't know.
It's
just been running through my head all weekend.
I can't imagine they're doing it just to try and split up the PGA Tour, because it hasn't. I don't know. Nobody's ever really had a problem with the PGA.
No, but
they're the only league.
I don't think that it's a specific problem with the PGA. I think it might be it's just like it's just something to, instead of it's one less. It's one more divided thing. That's what I'm getting at. It's one more thing that's divided. It's one less just unit of golf. It's split. Maybe I mean this is the first sport that they've really that anybody's really attacked like this. We've never seen it in football, baseball, basketball. This is the first time that we've had an American professional sport split like this. And so it's like, well, could something be next? If people are just throwing around cash like this willy-nilly, I don't see this is why I brought it up, because I don't understand the end game. So that's why I'm just throwing out a theory here of you weaken golf that is followed by a ton of extremely wealthy Americans, and some sponsors, some people that are extremely wealthy are going to follow the people that went to LIV. Some people are going to stay with the PGA Tour, the sponsors, the major fundraisers that the PGA does. Maybe if Bryson has, let's say Bryson DeChambeau is responsible for 30%. I'm just throwing this out there, but 30% of the fundraising that the PGA gets, and half of his sponsors, half of his donors follow LIV. That's then 15%. That's less for the PGA. 15% of it goes to those Saudis again. So I feel like it's just this, maybe a long-term play. Maybe they're not making money on the tour itself, but I guess maybe they're looking to make money through these golfers that they brought over, through those business partners. Maybe that's the way to look at it.
Yeah, that could be.
I mean, because there's no way they're going to be able to turn a profit with how much cash they just gave out, at least not right away.
No.
And right now they don't even have a broadcast sponsor outside of, right now they're just streaming it on YouTube.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's huge, because if you want that tournament to keep going, you're going to need to find a platform that's a little bit better than that. And you look at it too, like, I like watching golf. I would say more than the average person does in regards to golf, but if there's not really a good way to watch it, and it's also streaming at 2 a.m. because I'm in Central Time in the United States and the event's over in England, France, wherever, I'm not tuning into a broadcast to rewatch it after I already know who wins. So no. I can just quick look up, see who wins, see if it's relevant, see if it's something to talk about on the podcast, and then I'm moving on. I'm not tuning into it right now. Maybe if I don't have anything else going on 4th of July weekend when they're in Portland, just because of the course I haven't seen, it's in the United States, that's fairly easy to watch. I'll be up, not sleeping when it's on. So maybe I would tune into that. But otherwise, a lot of the other tournaments that are overseas, it's not ideal time for anybody to watch unless you just can't sleep one night.
No, that's why I'm saying there's no way that they're turning a profit or making any cash on viewership. No. It's got to be business partners and sponsorships from these individual golfers that maybe, let's say Phil has $100 million contract with whoever the hell he has left, because so many people have dropped him. But let's say that's the case, and part of that money was going to go to the PGA. Now that money goes to the founders of LIV. So maybe that's the end game. Maybe that's the goal here. But I don't know. Either way, it sucks. I mean, it sucks to lose these guys.
Some of them I would say don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you, but but no, for the most part, it's not great seeing them leave. But again, it's still so early in this tournament and in this league's history that we kind of have to just kind of sit back and see what ends up happening and where it goes from here. I mean, look at when the XFL in the early 2000s tried to compete with the NFL. And I mean, the NFL is just such a powerhouse. It didn't stand a chance, but it's still like right now, if the golfers can end up hopping back and forth between the tours, then there's a good chance that the LIV ends up sticking around for the long haul. But if they find out that courts rule, if guys start to sue and stuff and you can't jump back and forth, it's going to really make golfers think which tour they want to play on.
I mean, the XFL example is not even near it. Sorry to just completely shut you down on that, but it's not even close to this. You didn't have guys like top guys go over there, switch leagues completely. They didn't have the funding where there is literally unlimited funding for this LIV golf. They were going to throw Tiger like $800K or $800 million.
Yeah.
Just to come over for, and who knows how long that contract was going to be, or if it was a multi-year deal. We don't have the details on all of that. I'm sure they come out at some point, but I don't know. Maybe it's what I would love to see is if they do end up splitting up like this, maybe the majors turn into like a Super Bowl type thing where it's LIV, like AFC, NFC, LIV versus PGA. That would be dope. I would be into that.
Little like WWE Raw versus SmackDown.
Bam. Perfect.
I think that was the first time we ever had a WWE reference on the podcast.
It has to be. Hey, first time's a charm. I love it. First time
is a charm. And
Triple H was my boy.
Oh, nice.
Back in the day.
Oh, I was a big Stone Cold and The Rock guy myself. So.
Well, yeah, I didn't see any Stone Colds from you out at the outing.
No.
Should have gotten some out there.
Special occasion.
Should have gotten some on 18. Finish your final putt and bam.
Yeah, that's a mess.
Ram, bam, grand slam.
Yes. Well, that'll wrap up this episode. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Got some fantasy stuff to talk about. Going to dive into the top 10 rookie dynasty rankings. Josh and Jell are going to give their individual lists and compare those. So tune in tomorrow. We can be found at Dead Arm Sports, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Dead Arm Sports, YouTube live every Monday, typically there. Also, you can check out
Mondays and Wednesdays as well.
Mondays and Wednesdays, typically, yeah. Yep. Schedule's been a little bit hectic. It's summer, folks. I mean, you know how it goes. It's always busy during summer. So we'll get more regular here as the season approaches for football. But again, we've got all of our streams on YouTube as well. So if you can't check out live and you want to watch the podcast versus listen to it, you can just go to our YouTube page, Dead Arm Sports. You'll see our logo there. Make sure you subscribe so that way you know when the next latest episode drops. And also when we go live, so that way if you're sitting around and want to jump on, again, we got that chat. We monitor that the whole time, so you can ask us any questions you want, whether it's topics we discuss on the live podcast or else any other questions you have. If we've got time, we will definitely answer those. Subscribe, rate, and review the podcast.
Make sure you hit that alert button as well, so that you get notifications when we do go live.
Yep. Then hit the alert, subscribe on any of our other platforms. You can listen to us. Joe, get those in a second here. Once you subscribe, rate the podcast, write a review, send us a screenshot of that, get you some sticker swag. We can be found again at Dead Arm Sports, at DOS Gel, and at DOS JPEG. And I'll kick it over to Gel here. You can let the listeners know where else they can find us.
Hit us up on our presenting sponsor, Anchor, both on the web, just by searching anchor.fm, or on your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Just search Anchor there. They allow us to do all of our editing and everything like that for free. Also, additionally, allow us to publish this beautiful program to you
Work of
for
art.
free. Work of art, indeed. Masterpieces. Out to you for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Pods. Again, make sure to subscribe to that YouTube channel that we've got out there. Just search Dead Arm Sports, hit subscribe, hit that alert button so you know when we're going live and when we've got new episodes coming out to you. Again, going back to, make sure you subscribe, rate, review, take a screenshot of that written review, hit us up on Twitter or take a screenshot of that, hit us up on Twitter or Instagram or on our Facebook page at Dead Arm Sports on Twitter and Instagram. Search Dead Arm Sports on Facebook. Send us a screenshot of that written review and we will hook you up with some Dead Arm Sports swag. Also, with that screenshot, why don't you send us a mailbag question? We're always looking for some anything to talk about and, whatever it is, whether it's football, golf, baseball, whatever you want to send us in, fantasy, anything, just general life questions, hit us up and we're here for you.
Yeah, maybe we get enough questions in. We haven't done a mailbag episode in a while, so that would be kind of fun. Always a good time there. Have some good convos and fun questions to answer. But again, appreciate everybody out there listening to the podcast. Again, make sure you subscribe on your favorite listening platform or viewing platform. Again, we'll be back with you tomorrow. Tell somebody you know about the podcast. Great way for us to help spread the word, get you even more content out there. And Jel, close us out.
Tell you what, man. It takes a lot of balls for you to golf the way that I do.
Very nice.